Good morning, Dan. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, good morning. Hey, Ricky.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Hey, Jackie.
How's it going? Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, Ricky, you know Jamie and Jackie? You guys know Ricky?
No,
The, lo- the logo absolutely looks familiar, but not sure if I've had a formal introduction with Ricky. How's it going? And hi, Jackie. How are you?
Hey, good to see you, Jamie. No, I don't think I've met Ricky, but hi, Ricky.
Or Vicky?
Or Vicky?
Oh, did you say
Hi
Vicky
there.
or Ricky?
Both.
Oh, or Ricky. Oh, I get
Ricky's on
it.
here too, so good morning.
So I don't know what was happening, but my audio was messed up and I thought that everybody was on mute and I was.
Well, Vicky, you want to introduce yourself to Jackie and to Jamie?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dan. So good morning, ladies. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Vicki Brown. I am a member of BECO, a part of the legislative committee, and also Millicent and Associates. So it's a pleasure to meet you all.
Great to meet you, Vicky. Hey, Amelia, nice to see you. Haven't seen you all year.
Well, fortunately, we're only 5 weeks into it.
And the rest of the year to still hang out and see each other.
Hi, Jamie. How are
How's it
you?
going? Good. How are you, Amelia?
Fine. I took 2 weeks off in January, and the first time I had any time off since since November of 2019. So
Wow.
I hope all of you get some time off because I know the pandemic has been stressful for everybody.
Yes.
Gosh, good for you though, Amelia. Did you staycation or did you travel any?
I checked something off my bucket list. I climbed Machu Picchu and snorkeled in the Galapagos. So I went to South America.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wonderful. People were outstanding and the food was good and it was south of the equator. So it was very nice for January.
Awesome.
That sounds like an amazing
It
vacation.
was. I recommend it for all of you.
All right, so why don't we do this? This is sort of our virtual gathering slash rally slash get together slash make our social media clips for the exciting 2022 supplier diversity business growth prosperity agenda. So the thought is we can maybe do like a lightning round of introductions, and then we'll the idea is this is our chance to get together, right? Maybe in the next few weeks we can do it in person, but we'll deal with the medium as we see it. Have our legislative champions say a few words, and then our EDs say a few words, and then members that want to say a particular bill that particularly is meaningful to your business, so that we'll have the legislator talking about why what the bill is and why it's important to the legislator. And then we'll have the member talking about why that bill that speaks to you is important. So it's helpful for everybody to see it, but then we can create the social media clips, put them together, and help pass the legislation in our lightning round session coming up in the next few weeks. So that's the idea. What I think I'll do is, instead of doing a lightning round of introductions first, if that works for Representative Delgado and Representative Hernandez, Representative Davis sends his regards. He had a last minute conflict come up with some library stuff he had to attend to, but he apologizes he can't make it. But that's kind of a thought. Let me ask if that kind of works, or whether Representative Hernandez, Representative Delgado would rather have some introductory stuff first or jump right into it. I'd defer to you guys on that one.
Well, I would like to know, I know some of these faces are very familiar, but I would like to know some of the folks who are not as familiar to me. So I think introductions would be helpful.
Okay, right on. Let's do that then. And then I will ask folks to introduce themselves roughly in alphabetical order by your last name. So you can kind of see who's here and kind of think about where you're positioned. And then we'll do the round of introductions that way. If you're here, this is the time to jump on camera, say hello, so it's easier for people to see who else is here, particularly our legislators, and get to meet, face to face. So why don't we start alphabetically by last name, and we'll open it up.
Looks like it's me, Frank Bass, lobbyist for BCO.
Good morning.
Good
Vicki
morning.
Brown. Good morning, Vicki Brown. I am member of BCO and a member of the Legislative Committee.
Next, I'm Mike Swinkala, Vice President with KR Miller Contractors and President of the Board of Directors of Chicagoland AGC.
I'm next, I believe, Amelia Domenko. I'm CEO of the Women's Business Development Center.
Moraima da Silva, VP of Diversity Compliance at William Charles and Regner Benson Construction.
Roxana, if you're talking, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that. I am Roxana Daniel, President of Taj Development, a member of BCO, a MBE, WBE, and an LGBT certified business.
I guess I'll go. Roberto Escalante, President of Global Consulting Inc., also a board member of HACIA.
Yes,
Hey man, how are you?
I'll jump
Good,
back in.
good. I just want, do you need me to do anything for the fiber stuff for you at all?
Kelly, I'm working on it. Let
Oh,
me
you will?
find her.
And the
And
duct, okay.
Boom, got it. Okay.
All right. Hi, I'm Jose Duarte. I'm Executive Vice President of ASEA.
Good morning, Kristen Evers, President and owner of Concord Excavating, WBE, DBE, WOSB certified, and we're a civil contractor.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Fife. I'm the CEO of Landmark Pest Management, and I'm also a board member with Federation of Women Contractors. And since Dan wanted us to mention the pieces of legislation that we're interested in, I am interested in an item that is on the November ballot. It's SJR 11, and I think they're calling it the, what's it called? Illinois Right to Collective Bargaining Agreement. And I was hoping to hear from our legislators how that might affect private businesses like my own. I have 100 employees, and I'm wondering what the kind of trickle down effect on my own business, if that were to pass, might be. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Flame. I'm a specialty contractor. We do spray foam insulation, fireproofing, and air barriers, WBE and DBE. And I'm on the board of FWC.
We're up to G. Hi, I'm Cindy Gustafson, President of Jack Contractor Services. We do a lot of work with city, IDOT, water rec, sewer maintenance type stuff, and I am on the board with FWC as well.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see a lot of familiar faces and meeting new folks here. Jackie Gomez, Executive Director for HACIA. A few bills up that are definitely a highlight for me. One is our cash flow bill that we want to ensure businesses are paid on time. And, not this carpenter's bill is a concern as well. So we are opposing that one. And those are just two to highlight. There's many others, but I think those are two primary ones that we want to focus on as well. Thank you.
My name is Peggy Frindak. I am president owner of Phoenix Business Solutions. We are a WBDB IBEW 134 electrical contractor and specializing in the installation of all low voltage systems. I am also ex officio of ASA Chicago. Thank you.
I'm Santillano. My company is Santillano and Associates. I do diversity and inclusion type work as a consultant. I'm also vice president of the HACIA board and interested in all the bills as how they affect our membership at HACIA.
I don't see any M's, so I'll jump right in. Jamie Neely, Executive Director of the Federation of Women Contractors. So happy to join this conversation, and thank you all legislators for joining us. Like Sandy, I am very much interested in all of the bills suggested and listed in today's press release, as well as our flyer, and all things that impact or directly or indirectly that impacts our members, our women in construction, as well as the construction industry at large. Thank you.
Morning. I don't see anything before S. Ivan Solis, President of Solis Construction. I'm a general contractor, specializing in commercial build-outs, office spaces, retail, banks, restaurants. Signatory to the Carpenters Union, a member of ASEA for over 20 years, currently serving as board president. Thank you for being here.
If I can actually hop back in, my name is Ricky O'Neill. I'm with GWO Trucking and Construction and also a member of the Legislative Committee with BECO. Thank you guys for being here.
Maybe that's it. Anybody we missed?
Me, Jeanette Chavarria Torres, president of DCH Construction and Hauling, HACIA board member. Again, very interested in all these bills on how they directly affect my trucking business and other construction businesses.
Awesome. So I'm Dan Johnson. I work for these phenomenal organizations. And really during session, I work for these phenomenal legislators, right? Realistically. And so very excited to sort of talk about all the bills that are in. Again, Representative Will Davis sends his regards. We were on his schedule, but he had a sort of emergency library thing he had to attend to in a budget conference call that he had to jump on. And so today we are focusing on sort of our positive agenda for growth and prosperity, that some pretty ambitious, aggressive legislation. I'm really excited to introduce two, happen to be Latina House members that I've been leading the charge on supplier diversity. So let me introduce our two legislators with us and then turn it over to them in whatever order you'd like to sort of talk about the bills and sort of why it feels important to you. And then we can actually want to do an audible. I'm going to ask, why don't we just do it in order so that I'll ask Representative Barbara Hernandez maybe to go first. We'll talk about her legislation on enhancing the reporting for private higher education supplier diversity reports. I'll sort of share a little bit. This is one of these bills that it's been in effect for a long time where not the public universities or the community colleges, but the private schools, or DePaul's and Loyola's, and all over, there's a bunch of them all over the place. These anchor institutions, they have been filing reports with the state, but with CMS, but Representative Hernandez's bill moves those reports over to the Board of Higher Education, better agency for that now that CMS is kind of out of the business of running BEP stuff, and enhances them with sort of the Gomez amendment of having a buying plan so that members know what all these private colleges are planning to buy in the next year so we can connect with them. So maybe I'll introduce Representative Hernandez, and then after that, give folks a chance that are looking to do business with colleges or do businesses with private colleges, talk a little bit about that, and then maybe we'll switch over to the cash flow stuff. If that's okay, Representative Delgado. All right, that's the audible. Thank you, I appreciate it. And then without further ado, Representative Barbara Hernandez.
Good morning, everybody. I'm State Representative Barbara Hernandez of the 83rd District. I cover areas of Aurora and North Aurora. I'm excited to sponsor a bill that will support a diverse group of entrepreneurs in higher education. Higher education is very close to my heart, so now to involve a lot more minority and women businesses will be great. HB 4323 will expand the opportunities for minority and women-owned businesses to become suppliers in the higher education, especially in private colleges. As we have seen the impacts of COVID-19, we need to ensure we give individuals an opportunity to grow professionally in the state. These men and women deserve a more equitable business climate, and my legislation will work to create that by expanding programs that help them partner with clients in the education sector, growing their role in the state economy. So I really am excited to propose this bill. Thank you, Dan Johnson, for allowing me to sponsor this. And I hope we can work together and continue to work together to make sure this gets through the finish line. So thank you so much, everybody. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Let me ask some of our EDs to say a few words about, the bill and higher education in particular, and how exciting, enhancing these relationships with higher ed might be to our members, and then open it up to any members that might do some work with higher ed or might want to.
Sure, I'll go, and thank you, Representative Hernandez. This is a really exciting bill, especially I think the forecasting is critical and crucial. One component we're always talking about is that transparency component, and how are small businesses, diverse businesses supposed to do work with these institutions if they don't know what's in the pipeline, right? And so this will just help them prepare for future work, help them perhaps even joint venture, create that partnership, and just plan for a procurement that may be coming up. So thank you. And it will also, having been on the other side in government, it'll also put government and the private institutions with a thought process of how they can also perhaps be more inclusive in their procurement. So I think it's more than just a buying plan and a report. It's really it's that secondary effect that's gonna happen because of this bill. So we're really excited, and thank you again for championing it and sponsoring it.
Thank you, Representative Hernandez. Jamie Neely again from Federation of Women Contractors. Wholeheartedly agree with Hasia. I think the old saying, what goes on in the dark comes to the light. I think of the same thing, where what goes on in the public side of the house oftentimes spill over to the private. And so I'm excited that this is an opportunity to yet drive more economic impact to our communities, right? I think these private institutions are right in the communities that all of our public agencies serve. And I think the partnership or collaboration across public and private opportunities will obviously benefit our small women and minority contractors, as well as our tradesmen and tradeswomen, to create this whole circular opportunity of economic impact. So I support this, and I'm happy that you do as well. Thank you, Representative Hernandez.
BECO happens to have a top staff retreat this morning. So if any BECO members sort of want to say a few words on behalf of BECO on that bill. I'm putting you on jump a little bit.
Hi, I'm Roxana Daniel. I am a committee member of the Policies Committee, and I want to say thank you so much for bringing this bill up and supporting it. We're always looking for new and exciting ways to be inclusive, right? And that's the most important thing. So we at BECO, and I'm sure Ricky kind of agrees with me, that we're excited to be behind this bill.
And then
Hello,
finally,
everyone. I'm Amelia Domenko, Women's Business Development Center. Thank you, Representative Hernandez. The WBDC has had for about 7 years now an office in the greater Aurora area. And we see that area growing and needing a lot of services. So we have greatly expanded our presence there. The WBDC is not a membership organization. We're a 501c3. So we believe the biggest issue is one of growing the pipeline, not just with those that are currently certified, but getting more businesses certified and helping them get certified and helping them get engaged in the pipeline. So your efforts on behalf of the community at large is greatly appreciated, and we thank you for your service.
and any members that have any specific higher ed, business you're doing or like to do, want to share anything on that one before we move to Representative Delgado? All right. Anything you'd like to say, Representative Fernandez?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. All right. Moving on to cash flow revolution with Representative Evadina Delgado. I'll turn it over to you. She's got a double barrel.
Dan keeps calling this a revolution. I actually kind of feel like it is. So I am really excited to sponsor House Bill 4972. And I've been calling it a cash flow bill. But let me tell you the reason that we came to this idea in the first place. I had been speaking to Dan, this was probably almost a year ago, Dan, right? When we were talking about why it was so difficult to get small business, minority-owned business, women-owned businesses into into contracts with government agencies. And I was recalling my days back at the CTA when I worked at the CTA, sitting down with small businesses, and they were asking me, well, why is it that I can't get contracts with the CTA? You know, I can do this work. And my response to them was always, we don't want to bankrupt you, because we know that we take a long time from invoice to payment, and you may not be able to float that long on your own. And we may put you out of business. And so we never want to be the cause of a small business going under, because we can't get the dollars out fast enough. And I think that that is a problem across government. And as I've been sitting in this position as a state rep, and talking to agencies and looking at how dismal their numbers are for supplier diversity, we know that something has to change. And so this idea came about because we want to do something creative. Find a way that we can get dollars into the hands of contractors, subs, and workers as quickly as possible. So when an invoice comes in, we're working now with the state treasurer's office to find a way to make those dollars available immediately, so that businesses can keep themselves afloat, make sure that they can pay their subs, and make sure that their subs can pay the workers. So there are a lot of complexities here in this project. We are working closely with the treasurer's office. We'll be working closely with the comptroller's office. But I think this is really going to change the game in terms of bringing MBEs and WBEs into the pipeline for government work. And the reason that this is so exciting to me is that maybe we'll actually see that needle move in terms of supplier diversity on the government side, but we're also creating great opportunities for businesses that we know can do this work, and also creating opportunities for more wealth creation in our communities. So I am really excited about the prompt payment revolution. And I look forward to having all of you guys be champions along with me, and hopefully we can get this going. So thank you. Dan, do you want me to jump into the next one?
No, actually, I think you call it. Would you want? Should we talk about this one and have folks? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. EDs and then any members.
This is Amelia Domenko again, Women's Business Development Center. I think the payment issue is a critical issue, and not just growing the pipeline, but keeping people in the pipeline. From a retention perspective, you hit the nail on the head. Certainly the complexity of the RFP process and the likelihood of winning, as well as complexity of the certification process, are impediments also. But the payment issue as a priority issue, I think you're right on.
Jamie Neely, FWC. As you all know, the FWC, we lead with legislation, but we also provide a lot of the tools and resources to equip our members to set them up for success. And so we also identify those solutions so that when these women and minority contractors get the job, they actually win and perform well, and that it makes sense for everybody. Also, as a former banker, I know firsthand how difficult it is to get a loan approved with government receivables, because frankly, they're oftentimes beyond the 90 or 120 days out, which they can be approved. And so that this leaves these small businesses in a tight cash flow or cash flow crunch. And like you mentioned, Representative, and sometimes put them out of business, which defeats the whole system, right? The whole MWBE program and initiatives and efforts that we put behind this. And obviously, that's not what it's intended for. So we're excited that Representative Delgado has recognized this and working with us to find that innovative kind of loan fund for contractors to help mitigate those cash flow issues, and also committing to the pay and change orders within those 30 days, which we also know is essential and crucial to our bottom line. So thank you, Representative Delgado.
I have worked with Colette Holt over the last couple of years on almost every disparity study that we've done in the state of Illinois. And there's one common thread that we do hear from in our business owner meetings, and it's payments. There are other issues, getting work, the RFP process, the certifications and things like that, as Amelia said, But the really big issue is that folks are going out of business because they're performing the work and no one is processing their invoice. So we really need to address it, especially with the influx now of all of the money coming into the state and all of these mega projects. Everybody thinks that, you know, all that glitters is really gold. And if they get on one of these projects and they work for a couple of months, they're going to exhaust the money that they have socked away, and they're not going to be able to make payroll. So this is really very, very important that they're, you know, in order to move forward, and everybody would benefit, not just the minority and women-owned businesses. The big guys are going to benefit if the invoices are processed in a more timely fashion.
I would just echo.
I'd like to make a comment. Hi.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I would just echo what all was said, but I think the other part, it's no secret, the state is not, doesn't get awards for paying on time, right? And the biggest hurdle and why we talk about why isn't there enough competition or people bidding on work with the state as well, payment is a big issue. But now knowing that there's at least an option that vendors can take, and if they choose to go with the route with the treasurer and getting paid in advance, that's a mover right there. And I hope to see that this bill will change the mindset, and the next thing would be like letting people know that this is available. Because cash is king, and so this is gonna make a big difference. So thank you, Representative, for
Cash is also queen.
You are absolutely right. I have my Latina shirt today, women empowerment. So yes, it is. Thank you.
I wanted to add that on top of, you know, the payment process, it's the approval of change orders. It seems as though it takes, the work is done, you know, you moved forward, you did the work, but the approval of the change order in order to bill is taking an extremely long time on top of the long payments. So even though the option to have faster payments is wonderful, but if it's not approved to bill, then it doesn't help. Thank you.
And Tiffany, I think that you are giving me a perfect segue into House Bill 4384, which is my change order bill, that would require that the owner would take a reasonable time period to agree to a change order and also agree to a price for the change order, right? So the idea actually, I think, came to Dan from Nevada. But I think that it's a perfect fit for us here in Illinois as well, so that we are giving, again, contractors the opportunity to be able to plan their work, be able to manage their overall cash flow, and again, be able to pay their workers, which at the end of the day, we all want to make sure that that happens in a timely fashion as well. So I'm excited to be carrying that bill as well. And I'm hoping that, again, we'll be able to move the needle on some of these issues, particularly as it pertains to small businesses doing work with the state of Illinois and state of Illinois agencies.
Roberto here, we got to hand it over. We had a great conversation in ASEA where this one came up.
I see
Oh, I'm sorry. I should pause for a moment and introduce, I think Senator Castro is with us. So let me just, excellent. Everybody, this is Senator Castro, who had delivered in veto session the exceptional win on getting renewable energy vehicle, the tax credits. So there'll be a supplier diversity report, as well as been carrying for years the EDGE tax credit fix. And so Senator Castro, we're just talking about Representative Delgado's change order legislation, and then we'll hand it over to you to talk a bit about all these great tax incentives reports, supplier diversity reports you've been getting into the legislation and how that can help our members. So thank you for joining us and for all your leadership. let's go back to the conversation on the change order legislation, because I know there's a lot of members that this one has impacted. So maybe if folks could talk a little bit about how they've experienced change orders and the delay like Tiffany talked about, and how the bill can really help the cash flow perspective. And especially if anybody from BECO, since our ED isn't with us today, why don't I ask if somebody from BECO wants to go first?
Ricky, you want to speak?
So, to be honest with you, I would speak more so to the cash flow as opposed to the change order. I mean, we're in trucking, we don't have change orders, but I think that the common narrative between both of these bills is it allows contractors to get paid faster, right? And that's helpful, especially for small businesses, like you mentioned. It's frustrating when you know that you actually can complete the work, but the owner doesn't pay you in time, although the money is technically there. I see this growing, the ability to have partnerships in the future, where partnerships once didn't exist because small businesses can now work together on projects and partner together. So we're really appreciative of you for bringing these bills forward.
Okay, and Senator, I'm sorry, Representative, I'd like to say thank you very much also for bringing these bills forward. As a former SBDC network partner, it has really been challenging for our small businesses. This is one of the major challenges that they have come to us and have said, hey, listen, we need assistance. What in the world is going on here? And so for them to be able to get paid on time and in time makes a major difference in our businesses and what it is that they are able to do. And so we continue to work to help our businesses to grow, to sustain, and expand. So thank you very much for that.
Can I
hear me? Oh, sorry.
Can I chime in real quick? And although I am a committee member on the BECO Policies Committee, I want to kind of chime in on this, how important and how amazing this is for the state as a small business owner, as an African-American woman, and as an LGBT certified business. I've been in construction for over 40 years. I was a part of the first round of women in the Painters and Decorators apprenticeship program when it was at Washburn. I started a business in the 90s, and I watched so many of my friends lose their businesses once they got certified, right? They would go out, they'd be so excited about becoming certified and getting these state and city and municipality contracts, and they would go in, and not only would they not get paid on time, but they would get 75 cents on the dollar. So I never, ever wanted my business to become signatory, nor did I want my business to become certified to do that work. And I stayed into the business to consumer realm of things. However, my age has told me that I have to make a move. So my paranoia has always been steeped inside of, am I going to be ran out of business and in debt because it's taking 120, 180, a year, 3 years to get paid? I'm out of business, and then I'm only getting 75 cents on the dollar. My change orders are not being approved. I can't move because I need this change order approved. I heard the stories, and it was paranoia for me. So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for moving both of these issues to the forefront. And I'm looking forward to see the change in Illinois.
Okay, I'm back. I will echo what Vicky and Roxana are saying right now. I'm talking from the standpoint of a GC. I'm a general contractor. We work with tons of DBEs, MBEs, WBEs, veterans, and payment is something that it comes to, there is a gray line. So you as a GC, and I'm part of the diversity compliance of the company, always rooting for the small businesses. And because we do understand they are small, they need to have their money, they need to turn around and pay their vendors, they do their payroll. But there's certain rules that we need to comply with to show independency between the small business and the GC, because you don't want to go into that gray line of DBE fraud when you are starting to pay older vendors, you are trying to help with the union fringes. So I definitely think that hopefully if this bill passes, it's going to help so much in so many ways. I know what Sandy says, that the GCs, the big guys, are going to get excited. But being part of one of the big guys, I will say it gets exciting because you will be able to finally pay all those people on time. We do pay. What happens is when we select a group of small businesses and you start paying them because you understand, then you feel bad for the rest, because they say, how come you pay these 5, 10 small businesses and you didn't pay me? And then you have to select the ones that you can do it, because again, you don't want to be seen as a GC, that you are too connected with them, that there is no independency from them. And we have issues where sometimes we receive quote and the DBE or MBE or W or veteran tells you, I can do the job, but I need you to pay my vendors directly. And that's a no-no, right? Right there is like, I cannot do this. And I will never put it in a contract, and I cannot tell you yes. We can do joint checks when you demonstrate that you cannot pay, and there are ways to do it, right? Because we will document everything. But definitely, this is going to be a great help for the small businesses. I'm here representing a GC, Regner Benson, Wheeland Trust Construction. Anytime you need me for anything to tell you the stories, but I can document so many stories, I will be more than happy to support this.
One other point, Dan, if it's okay. Another issue with the cash flow is, yeah, once they get the job, but I think having cash flow issues up front creates opportunities or create disadvantages for smaller firms pursuing multiple jobs, right? In fear that if they win 2 jobs at the same time, they wouldn't be able to fund both of them, right? So it limits the scalability before they even get the contract opportunity. So understanding that this exists for them, hopefully allows them to be a little bit more aggressive in going in opportunities, knowing that they have the funding and the cash flow support.
We got to have some more cash flow or change order stories.
Hey, Dan, it's Jeanette. I just wanted to mention that Jamie made a great point. Right now, as a trucking business, I'm at a certain gross revenue, and I've had kind of plateaued. And one of the biggest reasons why, and some of these GCs like want to keep using me, and I keep telling them I can't, because I know my cash flow, I know what my lines of credit are right now, and cash flow is a barrier to growth, and it plateaus businesses from keep growing. And how Jamie said, yes, sometimes we do win 2, 3 contracts at a time, and then we're kind of scrambling to figure out, okay, can we go back to our bank? Can we increase our line of credit? We keep trying to figure out ways, negotiating our net terms to be net 30 days, constantly going after the GC to, at 45 days, 60 days, if it can be paid faster. So it's definitely for a small business, which I'm currently encountering, that it is a huge barrier for me to actually grow. So this is great for us. It's a great opportunity for us to continue to bid on bigger jobs, because it does stop us. I do stop and say, how much do I have logged for the year? Can I take on another project when I'm being knocked on my door, but now I'm turning it down because I might not have the cash flow to actually perform it. And obviously, I've always been very upfront with my prime contractors and very honest. And I do tell them, look, these are my capabilities because of cash flow, because of equipment, or because, of a manpower that we have or woman power that we have. But again, cash flow is the biggest one. So this is going to be super helpful for us and a bunch of other small businesses.
This is Roberto Escalante. So I work with quite a number of small businesses, and in general, when it comes to access to capital, the banking industry has a very negative view of both the construction industry and then those firms who are kind of heavy leveraged in the government side, and mainly because of just the timing of getting paid. So when you're a small business owner is looking to increase capital or loans, again, right off the bat, the banking industry has a very negative view. And it's kind of like two strikes to begin with. So by helping improving the cash flow from the government side, hopefully in the near term, that'll help in the banks kind of opening up their wallets a little more, being less cautious on supporting the construction industry. In terms of change orders, I've worked with a number of firms as well, and the difficulties in getting paid and following the documentation of change orders. And a lot of times, this money that's tied up is basically the profit from the contract. And if they can't get that profit, it kind of, again, stalls them from advancing and getting a number of other projects, but also getting additional access to capital. And as you grow in trying to attain capital, the banks will put covenants on, and one of the covenants is the borrowing base certificate. And again, it's a barrier for the small business owner, because they'll knock out anything over 90 days. They'll knock that out of your ability of using your accounts receivable as collateral for your line of credit. So anything we can enhance on getting payables under 90 days would be a major benefit to the small business owner.
I want to give a quick shout out to Jorge Escarpita, who sort of initiated this conversation on change orders and has done some work in Nevada. So that's sort of the direct experience from Hacia Conversation, where the change order idea came from. And he's worked there and he said it's phenomenal. On the change orders, they just come to terms with it in 30 days. Senator Castro had to send her regrets. She pulled away, but she wanted to send the message. Her issue is very cut and dried, right? For the EDGE tax credit. It's been a number of years she's been pushing. Thanks to Will Davis passed the one through the House. Thanks to Representative Fernandez and Delgado for voting for it, that finally companies that get an EDGE tax credit will file their voluntary supplier diversity reports as the law is required since 2018. But as Senator Castro said, this is the year that EDGE is up for renewal. And so it's a good opportunity to make sure that finally this law gets implemented fully and fairly. Anybody else on change orders or cash flow payments, specific stories, friends you've seen gone under, direct, actual things that occurred to you, stuff like that?
I think if you look through the years, you go back to the beginnings of these programs 40 some years ago, you'll see that in all of these mega projects that have gotten a lot of publicity, they've eaten up the small contractors. I've just heard horror stories from starting with the Harold Washington Library and, the work down at Grant Park Millennium Project. It's wonderful to come home and say, to your family, I've got this great project, and then only to see 8 months later that these guys are gone. And there's definitely a history of someone wanting to get into the archives to plead the case, because this is what's going to happen now. We're going to have all these mega projects again. And I'm glad that we are at the front of this, the front end, talking about it before people have contracts, and a year from now, they're gone.
All right, last topic we wanted to raise. We've been engaged in the wage theft debate and issue. We're very grateful that the House has taken a pause on some legislation so we can go through the regular legislative process. Just wanted to share our perspectives on primary responsibility and how we think we can tackle wage theft. And Representative Davis, filed some legislation. We just wanted to sort of share our perspectives on the not punishing the prime for the sins of the subs as it relates to the conversation about wage theft. And then we'll close with, some comments and start cutting this up for social media distribution. Ivan, did you want to go, or you haven't had a chance to speak yet? Just an idea if anybody else wants to, but feel free to, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, I mean, this, conversation, has been, going on for quite a bit. And in terms of, the effects of the primary responsibility bill on smaller contractors, I think that it would make it harder for larger GCs to give us a chance, give new and up and coming minority and women-owned contractors a chance to participate on many of these mega projects that Sandy referred to, or fear or of having smaller companies maybe not having the financial wherewithal, or at least questioning that, and we feel that that's going to put us at a huge disadvantage. We like to find ways to to come up with solutions, but we feel that this is the wrong solution for the problem. And in particular, in our conversations with the Carpenters Union, I get the sense that they have no interest, and they've shown zero interest in seeing women and minority-owned businesses grow and develop, to the point where we can be fairly represented in the industry at a time where corporations and government agencies are improving their programs and their diversity, is going in the right direction. We've seen zero interest in the union has pretty much told us that they're not interested in small businesses. They're interested in labor force, but they could care less about whether or not there's a program, about whether or not we are as employers surviving and thriving in this industry. And I think that that's it's sad to see that, but at any rate, we will be greatly affected by the primary responsibility for the reasons that we've stated to them directly and amongst the group. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you, Dan.
I work as a subcontractor for several contractors on IDOT work, and have never had a problem. Kind of surprised to see this, but I did work for a new general this year, and they just made me file a letter of good standing every month, with the union, to make sure you're keeping. I mean, there's a lot of ways that a general contractor can make sure that the subs are paying what they're supposed to pay without something as onerous as this, seems like.
Hi again, Roxana Daniel. I agree. As a general contractor and an experienced business owner, and be very clear, I'm a technician first. So the capacity of me financially to carry the weight of someone else, is unreasonable. It's hard as a minority and a woman and LGBT business already to get work and get recognition and be brought in on projects that traditionally has been, and no offense to anyone that may be this in the room, the old white boy industry that has locked itself inside and kept us outside. And now to be faced with the possibility that in the event that I get a slow pay or anything and something happens, I'm a sub, right? And then to be responsible for that, you know, so I work on both ends of it, so I can see both sides of the spectrum, and from either side, for me, it just is not a good look, and I don't want to be ran out of business because the big boys are not interested in a small micro business like mine, and I think it's just an unfair practice, and it's an unfair idea. Nobody said that the world was going to be fair, but I think that this is putting another light under a fire that's already lit, and I'm not in agreement of it at all.
So, and if I can also add to that, Ricky O'Neill again, it's difficult to step out of your vantage point. So myself as a small business, this forces me to look at it through the lens of a general contractor. If, you know, let's tie this to the payment issue. Sometimes payments are late. If I'm a general contractor and I have a sub that isn't paid and I get burnt by this, it decreases the pool of contractors that I'm willing to use, which decreases the ability for you know, new guys to have a chance. You know, there might be somebody that I'm building a relationship with who gets burnt by a bill like this. Now I don't have another opportunity based upon this bill going through. So I mean, again, like, you know, so many have said before me, there's other ways that I feel like this can get accomplished. I just think that this will be a burden to the industry and everyone involved.
Can I jump in? I read an article the other day of a subcontractor that jumped ship on a project. And I'm wondering, in a case like that, how does this bill affect the GC? The contractor jumped ship and didn't pay their staff. And how would that affect the GC in that case?
I can take that and then maybe close out on it. In that case, the prime would have to pay if the workers for the sub, you know, did the work, didn't get paid. And so I guess I first want to thank Representative Fernandez and Delgado for listening. It is a, you know, a challenging issue, and appreciate taking the time to hear the perspective. The quick headline is we sort of, you know, Representative Gon Gershowitz was very kind to spend a lot of time with us over December and January. Representative Leader Evans is now sort of taken on the issue with a new bill. And so we're very grateful that we understand it'll go through the regular legislative process and not sort of drop on concurrence, which is very helpful, so we can have a full airing of the discussion. But Representative Davis was also kind to file sort of our ideas about wage theft, because we care about workers not getting paid too. And so our two sort of headline points were it's a crime and the criminal penalties are weaker as we looked at it. There isn't restitution. And, you know, the penalties are a little weak. And so we thought, first, we should up the penalties. Second, we should sort of have a wall of shame the Department of Labor keeps, so you know who the bad guys are, and they should publish it. And that third, we had an idea of creating some sort of a fund that if the sub goes out of business and the workers did the work and are left without a way to get a check, they should be made whole. There should be a fund of some kind. We haven't figured out how to pay for it, right? But you know, that's sort of as far as we've gotten. And so we're hopeful that as the conversation continues, we don't get, you know, railroaded, and we get a chance to sort of solve wage theft as a crime, rather than you know, inadvertently kind of punish primes for the sins of the subs. And so appreciate your engagement.
Dan, sorry, I had some remarks before we close out that I just didn't want to go. I didn't want to miss out on speaking on those. So one, thanks again, Senator Castro. I know she had to leave, but I think her bills are just as important on the table, as well as thank you, Representative Davis, Delgado, Evans, and Hernandez. Again, representing the executive Jamie Neely, Executive Director of the Federation of Women Contractors. Many of you know that this is a 33-year-old organization leading in legislation, creating those opportunities by pushing and challenging legislation. But today, particularly excited to be joined with all of you, legislators, advocacy groups, as well as members and industry representatives to discuss these specific bills. Women have played a crucial role in the building of the city of Chicago, surrounding counties, as well as the state of Illinois, from both a cultural as well as a business standpoint. Yet women have remained an afterthought when it comes to business ownership opportunities and specifically the construction industry. This valuable point, I want to mention that in 2012, the FWC we introduced a legislation that subsequently became the Public Act 98-1056, requiring the Illinois utilities to report diverse spend. And we did that in a collaborative spirit to help the utility companies identify and build those robust pipelines of certified M&W contractors. This resulted in economic stimulation, with Illinois utilities spending $2.6 billion with WBEs in just 3 years from 2017 to 2020, and $3.4 billion with MBEs, totaling $6 billion in 3 years within just the state of Illinois. And so just think about what those small efforts to track and report the diverse spend with renewable energy, railroads, private higher education, as well as the EDGE tax credit recipients can lead to. Equity and opportunity for our women and our minority-owned firms within the state of Illinois. These underrepresented businesses will then get the contracts, hire from within the communities. Those employees will then spend within the communities, which is the true economic impact for the state of Illinois. The FWC is also tasked with equipping our members, which we touched on, with the resources to grow and scale. And so we're happy to partner with Representative Delgado in the cash flow supplements and programs. Lastly, the FWC continues to protect our members and the industry such that we challenge the wage theft bill, now House Bill 5088 with Will Davis, Representative Will Davis, which has been rewritten as the appropriate wage theft bill formerly introduced by the Carpenters Union. As Dan mentioned, we were fortunate to meet with the Carpenters as well as Representative Gon Gershowitz, who was the initial sponsor of the bill and now with Evans. And we understood the intent of the bill, which was to protect our employees, our tradesmen and our tradeswomen. And I emphasize the idea of our because the small business community employs 45% of the state's workforce. So we are too concerned about our employees getting paid. But we also understand the negative implications and positive positions primes and subs would face. With House Bill 5088, the bill now encourages a fund to make employees whole without harming or discriminating against women and minority-owned firms. The original bill placed a divided line of the have and the have-nots yet again, where these prime contractors to pay stolen wages from a subcontractor, plus the attorney fees, which obviously becomes very costly. There aren't many bills where small, large, union, non-union, women, Black, and Hispanics all agree on, and this is one of them, which is quite telling. On behalf of the FWC Board of Directors, members, and stakeholders, we'd like to thank you all for your commitment to your diversity, equity, and inclusion within the state of Illinois. Thank you.
I feel like clapping.
I bugged and Dan, I'm not sure if you introduced yourself well enough, but I bothered our lobbyist, Dan Johnson, for an agenda to make sure I was on cue. And so I just wasn't going to let those prepared remarks go unheard. So thank you all for listening.
I think this is great. I just want to echo what all the comments, because I think this is what it's about. It's bringing us together, sharing really our unified voice. And I'm so grateful to have Representative Delgado and Hernandez to be leading this charge, and including Senator Castro and Davis, because it's so important to have that unity and being able to be heard. And we're so grateful really for the leadership that you all have shown. And even right now, just taking the time to listen is a big deal. So just wanted to say that thank you. And we appreciate you listening and hearing the concerns of our communities, small businesses. It's so important. So, and great to be in partnership with our friends at FWC and BECO. So thank you. And Dan, thank you. We think you're great too.
Oh, great. Well, I
We think
wanna-
you're great too.
I really want to appreciate everybody, especially the legislators, because as Jamie said, this was not a structured event. And so we appreciate you guys being flexible on just getting together and all pros. So yeah, not a lot of prep on it, but I knew, right? Get all these very smart, passionate people together and it'll be a success.
But with the collaboration, there's strength right now with all of us working together.
Legislators, you want to close us out? You don't, I mean, if you want.
Thank you, guys. It's always good for me to be able to hear those of you who are actually out there doing this work to share your experiences, because it just gives another layer of authenticity to these bills as we go before committee and as we present them on the floor, when we can really point to specific experiences or specific individuals who have been impacted. So I appreciate all of you sharing with us because that is what helps make me a better representative. And hopefully we can be successful this year. So thank you.
I just want to echo the same thing that Representative Evadina Delgado mentioned. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. I know that many of you have had a difficult time, especially with COVID, and even to begin having a business, having your own company, I know is pretty much hard. And you guys have done it in a great way, and you guys are paving the way for other minority-owned businesses to come the way. So thank you so much for everything you do, and we're looking forward to working with you.
And maybe we'll pull an in-person lobby day the week of Valentine's Day. So, all right. All right, we recorded it. We'll share this. The video pros will start sharing clips. We'll be in touch with your offices to share what we can cut together and put together. And thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
See y'all.
Yeah, thank you.